Okay, good morning. My name's Steve Rudge. Today we're going to look at the BIM 360 build module. So it's really the next gen of BIM 360 field. So Excitech, who are we? Hopefully most of you know who we are now. We've been in business for over 30 years. Yeah, we've got 130 people, but I think the key bit to us is, you know, most of our consultants and application specialists are coming out of industry. So we're not all about software. We're about helping and assisting people right the way through project delivery and through design, construction and manage of projects. Guiding, supporting you and hopefully de-risking some of the challenges we face with digital construction and moving into the BIM processes, etc. So let's move into the presentation itself now. So BIM 360 next generation. Okay, so it's been with us now for probably a year or so with the foundation of BIM 360 Docs, and BIM 360 Build is probably the last one of the modules to be a viable solution now that we can push in to our project world and start managing construction and management processes. Now, many of you will be aware of the classic versions of BIM 360. So things like 360 Team and Collaboration for Revit have obviously been now replaced by BIM 360 Design. We've got Docs, which has been with us for a while now, which is the document management system, which was the first of the webinars that we did. And obviously we've got Glue and the next gen of Glue now, which is about bringing their models together and federating with an automated clash detection built into there as well. Now, we've not seen yet the next generation of BIM 360 layout, plant or ops, but obviously today we're going to look at BIM 360 field and the next generation of that. So yeah, so as I was saying, these are the four platforms now rather than the 8 different modules you've just seen in classic mode. The BIM 360 doc side, document management, a great way of sharing documents now, but some really nice features in there. So well worth seeing that webinar, and it's basically around comparing changes and de-risking you, because everyone gets models and drawings issued to them, but we are not fully aware of the changes in them systems. Then we've got design, so that's on about tracking your deliverables, looking at that Revit model and getting engaged in sharing content, sharing packages of work that we can actually monitor and record. And then we've got Glue, which, as I said, is about coordinating multiple discipline designs across the trades, but allowing us to actually see the clash detection side of things live. And Build. Build is about construction management. Yeah, it's not about BIM as such, it's construction management and the processes we go around quality, safety, commissioning, you know, the issues we raise on site, the daily diaries we need to record against our day-to-day activities, etc. So we'll get into some of these details as we go along. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the next generation, the BIM 360 now has been regenerated on something called Autodesk Forge. Now, Forge is an open platform that is allowing us to create additional plugin applications and access the data better through that Forge technology. But at the same time, it's bringing this as a common data platform, so we only have to access it in one place. But by switching on the correct modules, we've now got a full solution, which is going from the design stage through that pre-construction and into field management, which is where we're going to focus on today and start looking at the quality, the safety, the progress tracking, and the work coordination, etc. And the beauty of this is, as we're collating information, it's the beauty of that analytics and insights that we're getting into all the data we're collating and being able to see, you know, who's closing out the issues, who's not responding to them issues and things of that. And so lots going on, but let's get into the detail of this. So you know, the world we're moving into now is obviously going down the digital route. We're going into digital construction, you know, collaboration on and coordinating our designs early doors, but it's reusing them designs, reusing them during the construction stage, reusing them while we're out on site, you know, making them issues in real time, making the office and field be a joined up approach. It's no use having things being brought out and commented on in the field when we can't actually see them back in the office. So it's bringing them two areas together, and letting data help us drive decisions and looking at continuous improvement. All very well known areas of problems of traditional delivery. And hopefully what I'll show you today is where Nextgen's looking to resolve them. Because what we're looking at is connected data, the interoperability of that information, and extending it across the whole project lifecycle. The design team, the subcontractors, and your main contractors are all engaging in that common platform and allowing us to access data everywhere in the right context, looking at raising issues, closing them out, monitor who's not closing them out, and giving that project control to everyone, and hopefully optimizing the way that we're looking at this information and resolving anything that may cause us problems. So just a quick overview here. It's a bit of clarity as well, because with coming from the classic mode, obviously you can't buy the classic products anymore. You have to go down the Nextgen. But looking at this, you can buy docs on its own, which is document management, and get the project home. You can buy design, which is going to give you the design collaboration. But at the same time, if you need the old C4R and BIM 360 team, this is where you can purchase from. And don't forget, the new design, BIM 360 design, will only work on Revit 2018.3 and onwards, so 2019, etc. If you've got a project which is in an older version of Revit than that, you obviously still need to use the classic products in design, etc. And then we've got Glue, which I said is this model coordination and bringing things and federating together with the live clash detection. But again, that will give you options to activate another project using classic Glue layout, etc. And obviously today, a lot of us are still using the classic BIM 360 field, which is a great tool. But obviously now we're looking at where the next gen of build is going to fit in for us and bring us lots of this integrated information exchange. So, lots going on. It's a common platform there now for us. And you're probably saying, right, okay, so if Classic's doing the job and many of the projects we're working on live in construction today are in classic mode, do I move to Nextgen? Where do I start this next project that I'm working on? Do I keep it in the classic BIM 360 field, or do I actually move over to this next generation platform and see the new technologies and where we're going? Because it is bringing us some key differentiators, because anybody's used the old classic field, we had to sync the data to the iPads before we left out to go out onto site. And then when we collated data out on site, we had to sync again when we got back in the project office. Whereas the Nextgen is an automatic syncing. So that's gone, and the risk, of losing data while we're out in the field, or not, forgetting to sync that data and things like that. And the other real thing as well that, benefit, that question I always get asked, it's not just on iOS now, it's not just on Apple products. It can go onto Android tablets and phones and mobile devices, etc. So just them two alone is giving us benefits to start looking at where next generation field's going to go and the opportunities it's going to open up for us. And you look at the classic iPad app here, and you look at the modules that you're getting within the classic mode, and I think we're all familiar with creating issues, creating them quality, safety, commissioning checklists, completing our daily updates, our daily diaries, looking at equipment and barcoding things so we can find our way around the building or capture information against the assets, and assigning tasks to people so we know when things need to be done, pulled out. And we've also got the library that we need to take out to us on sites. We've got live up-to-date documents, and we can always see the photos. So that's the classic BIM 360 feel. And if you look at Nextgen, we can do most of that. And there's two areas that are still under development at the moment, and that's the equipment side and tasks. But you'll see during the presentation where we can maybe do without tasks. We can assign check sheets to people to go out and complete rather than assigning tasks. So the only bit really is probably equipment and barcoding. Now we know it's going to come, it's under development at the moment and should be with us soon. So we've got to think about what do you want to do during your projects at the moment, and see whether you go down the classic route or whether we look at opportunities to go down the next generation side. If your main focus is about raising issues and snagging and doing quality checklists and safety checklists and commissioning and things like that, and getting them documents out into the field, because with BIM 360 Docs, it's giving you a lot more opportunities out there as well to look at the design changes during, as you bring in the supply chain in there and everything like that. So design managers should see a great benefit as well going down that way. And I must say that the BIM 360 build or field Nextgen has got a huge roadmap now. I mean, you can see here, this is just something I pulled off the Autodesk website this week, and they're looking to enhance things already, enhance how we do the checklists and issues, how we use the locations within the product, and how the daily logs are being presented as well. But it's not just here, there's a full roadmap of where this product's going, and it's probably one of the largest development areas of Autodesk at the moment. So really exciting times for us all to be involved in this. So what I'll do now is I will just go over to the product itself and look to see it live. So obviously we access it via a web browser. This is just on the desktop. I'll go onto the iPad or mobile media platform in a moment. And you've seen this hopefully before off a previous webinar. I mean, this is document management. So this is replacing the library of Classic. But what we've got here is, the modules now that we've talked about are all accessed here. So we talked about the insights, the analytics that we can get to. And if we click the analytics, you can see some of the things that are happening out in the field. You can start looking at the quality side. Look at how many issues I've got live, what the root causes are. Look at when things were closed out, how many things have not got closed out. So you can see the analytics side itself is far better than what we've got in classic mode. But we can also look at the safety side as well. So, if you get any safety issues raised, and project controls as well. So any RFIs raised or anything of that nature can all be tracked and monitored through the application. And, same with document management. We've got this project home, which is another overview, another way of looking at all this great data we're collating and just being able to see what's actually going on live on these projects that we're all involved with. But what I'm going to do is just move over straight into field management. So field management is basically the core product for next generation build or next gen field. And in here, really, we've got to do some things. It's about creating the checklist here. It's about looking at issues. We can look at the daily logs, but we can also create them here as well. So, we may go into the project management module here. Okay, and in project management, we can see the RFIs that have been raised. We can monitor them, we can track them and things of that nature. And we can also go into project admin. Now, project admin, once you've got field, yes, we can create the workflows of when we're creating RFIs on some littles, but the main thing is looking how easy now the likes of field management is. The field manager itself is a lot easier to manage things. We've got, a lot better control over the permissions. We've got easier way to bring members into the product, and we can just add members here. So if I type in the likes of my surname there, I can pick availability, I can hit select, and the main thing is I can assign it to a company that's in the system or a role. And now these two are quite important because that's going to start allowing us to submit issues to people or things like that. And you can see here, what access have people got. So have they got access to field management, project management, document management, the insights, the analytics, etc. And if they need them, you can give them access, etc. And then you can add them to the project. We can see which companies are involved in the job and a quick overview if you're project admin to see, which modules have been activated. So here, we've got the glue, the plan, and collaboration and that all activated. And the profile itself, so we can see how it's set up, etc., and we can edit that in there. So the project admin is quite a nice platform now, rather than the classic way of doing things. So let's go back into field management. So field management, Obviously, we've got Docs as that platform now that will allow us to see drawings, models, etc., and actually get out in the field. But here what we've got is it's as simple as 4 tabs. Now, the first thing I'm going to look at with you is checklists. Yeah, so obviously, what type of checklists are we creating? Because we've got templates, and the idea of templates is we create these check sheets and lists that we can distribute out to team members. And they're easier to create than the classic mode as well. But the beauty is we've got this import functionality now, and when we select import, yes, we can import standard templates, but the main thing is, if you've got classic mode running, you can import templates out of classic field. And I'll just show you that because, a lot of companies have spent huge amount of time creating their own checklists, but now what we can do is import all that data straight into Nextgen. So we've got what type of template this is. So it might be a quality one. We can then browse for it, and I'm just going to pick this skirting one up and import. And it's as easy as that. So it's converting the classic mode into Nextgen, and you can see here now that it's actually brought it through with the correct drop downs, etc. And we can actually change that now to suit options that we've got in Nextgen, whether you want that on an iPad to trick true, false, not applicable, or pass or fail, multi choices and tick boxes and things of that nature. So the templates are huge, really. And if I just hit save on there, you can see I can start building up templates that we're actually going to use in the system itself. Now, the templates won't be viewable in the iPad or on site until we create that checklist. So what we can do here is, we can pick that skirting one we just created, create the checklist. Okay, so there's the name of it. We can actually, change the name. This one might be in the reception area. And then what we can do is start to complete this. Now you can see I'm doing this on the desktop, so not on the iPad, etc. So, I can type a response in there if need be. Reception. Am I using the correct specification? Yes. Double-sided tape installed? No. Are you installing the correct walls? Yes. So I can reference drawings at that point, and I can gradually go through this. Now, as you can see, as I'm completing this, it's actually recording how much of this checklist I'm actually completing. But I might not know more than that because, skirting installed correctly, I don't know until we get out on site, etc. So what I might have to do is use this side of the checklist and assign it to the company that's actually installing the skirting. So I'm going to assign it to that. The location, again, you can have this pre-set up, so you can have it in the reception. And I want this closed out by tomorrow, etc. It's a quality checklist, etc. And there we go. So that's now been created for Steve Rudge to be updated by tomorrow and respond to this. So you can see there's lots we can do and set up in there, and that's why I was saying before, do we need tasks? Because the checklist can be assigned to people with closeout dates. So it's pretty much the same as we had with tasks. And likewise, issues on the dashboard here, we can see all the live issues that are being created out on site. And, you can see these have all been collated out on the iPad, but I might get something where I have to open it and look and respond to the issue that's raised. So it's not open now. I might say, it's ready to inspect again, and I can assign it, say to myself, and, this is okay, please inspect. And it's done, but you can see now that the status of this is changed from open to that. I can add attachments. So if I've got any data sheets, I've got any drawings that'll help the person who's raised the issue to resolve it, you can raise them all, add documents or anything to this point. And the main thing is as well, we can always track activity. So we can see who created the issue. We can see actually who's responded to it with the response I've just typed in. And it can keep going like that, so we can really monitor what's going on. And at any point, I can export these issues as PDF reports, so I can, store them as lifetime records, maybe in the CDE or something that's being used on the project, etc. So pretty good, straightforward, response from a dashboard. And the last thing we can do on here is obviously our daily logs, our, daily diaries that we create. And in here, You know, we might sort of come in here and we can get the weather, which is set from the location of the project, and it'll fill in the appropriate fields. We can see, you know, it's filled in that there's a bit of mist this morning. There is down here in London, and you know, I can edit that if I've got any more detail, and I can also add any notes, you know, that may impact why there may be a delay. So it's also raining. And we can come down here as well. We can add the labour, and I'll show you this as well on the iPad. So you don't have to do it on an iPad. You can do it while you're in the safety of your site office, etc. And you know, we can fill it in. So Excitech here has got, you know, 3 people on site, and they've all worked 8 hours, etc. And we can add some more labour, and you can see this starts adding up. So you can see as I'm creating it for Excitech, the number of people and what activities they're working on, etc., can all be recorded. And then obviously I can start recording down here some of the activities that I may have carried out on site, and that's again all there and available and maintained in the system. So hopefully that's give you a good indication of what's available on the dashboard. You know, lots of features keep adding to this, so it's well worth just, you know, keeping an eye on the development and the platform itself. But what I'm going to do now is just swap over back to the iPad, etc. And I'll just go down to some recordings, because obviously it's a WebEx, and I'll just activate this again now. Okay, so you know, I just saw permissions there. You know, we've had lots of issues with some of the permissions in Classic. You know, giving people permissions to create checklists and fill checklists out, whereas now the permissions are hugely improved in Nextgen. So well worth a look on the permissions side. So what I'm going to do now is just show you what's available on the iPad, really. You know, so it's on the iPad, we open up the BIM 360, and if the module of, you know, sort of field management has been activated, you will be able to see. So there's 360. So you open that, and you can see straight away that the platform is quite an easy, nice platform. So across the bottom, you've got documents, checklists, issues, downloads, daily logs, and RFIs that have been raised. And again, if we go to documents, this is replacing your library. So it's exactly the same as what you've got with docs. You've got your project files, your work in progress area, etc. And it's from here that we can actually open up drawings. We can view them live on site while we're out on the iPad. Notice no synchronization. It's just live data. And the difference now, because we've got the field management module activated, when we raise an issue, you can see we've got a docs issue or a field issue. So the idea of this is you can open up your floor plan and do a floor walk and raise issues and drop pins live on the drawing. So it's a bit different from the way we've done it in classic mode. But when we raise an issue, we drop a pin. We explain what the type of issue is that's being raised, etc. We can give it, you know, a title. You know, so there's damage to a wall, say, and we can take a photograph by the blue bar with the camera in it there, and really capture the damage that's been created and assigning it straight to that pin. And you know, we can put further descriptions around there to help people really know what's happened. You know, is it poor workmanship? No, it's not. It's been caught during the fit out of the FF&E, the late stages of construction, etc. So, you know, it's given us lots of options to put information in here that's going to actually help others understand what this issue is that's being raised. And now I can assign it to people. So you can see there it was user or role or company. So you don't have to do it to a specific person. And obviously to help people, we can start filtering locations. So again, like we did on the dashboard, we can do it on the iPad and filter down to that reception area. And again, we can schedule in the date of when it's actually going to happen. And there we go, it's going to happen on the 15th of October. The owner is me. And what's its root cause? Now, this is a defined list. And the idea of this is we can't change it because we want the analytics to run. If we all type something in root causes, they will all be typed differently. So, you know, I'm picking trade damage here. And the beauty of that is when I do the analytics, I can see how much damage there is during that trade fit out, etc., and the damage that's being done, and you know, is it poor workmanship or quality, etc. And now you can see that this looks pretty similar to what I had on the dashboard, so I can see all the issues and I can go in and review them. So while I'm out in the field, I can add another photograph if that work's been done. I can record it against that. I can change the status while I'm out in the field, etc. So I don't have to do everything back in the site office. I can come and you can see I've changed it live on the iPad, so it's now ready for inspection. I can now take another photograph, so it's actually recording the fixed state to show that the issue's now been resolved. And I can assign it to somebody else so they can go and actually check it, etc. So there's lots we can do here, but it's all about workflow, process, and sharing that information right across your team, etc. So lots of great benefits with the issues side of things really now. And then we get into the checklists. The checklists are brilliant ways of making sure quality, safety, and commissioning data is collated out in the field. And you can see here, the templates we created before, they're available here. So I don't have to assign them to people while I'm out on the field. So I've got a template, I'm going to select it, and by selecting, I'm creating a new checklist, exactly the same as what I did on the dashboard. I can change its title. So if I'm doing this painting one, I can, painting again in reception, say, and just type that in. And again, off the iPad, off the mobile media, I can assign it to people. I can assign it to a company. I can assign it to a role or a company. And that's huge, really, because it may be not a specific person. That Excitec are doing the painting or whatever, so they can go and get the relevant people. And again, you can assign the locations, etc. And again, schedule it. When's this going to be done? And then you hit create. And once we've hit create, that checklist is now available to that user, the role or the company, etc. And we can get in here now and we can start looking to complete the checklist exactly the same as we did on the dashboard. And as again we start going down the checklist, completing things, we can actually see at the top right over here, we can see how much of that checklist has been completed. So if somebody started on live on the site, they're taking photographs like this, recording bits, but they've only actually got, to the second point about the correct specification, and it stops. The analytics will then start saying, you've got so many checklists completed that are only 50% complete and things. So the insights that we saw initially, that's the bit that's going to start giving us that great information. And what's good on the iPad as well, which we don't get on the desktop, as you've seen of it know, when of it know I've raised an issue against it, we know how to create issues. So we can raise that. So you can see there that the issue's been raised, it's now open, etc. There it is, raised up. And you can see here that checklist has been completed because we've completed all the sections. It's been completed apart from this issue, which is there now to resolve and go back and get that issue that's raised sorted, etc. So yeah, good stuff. Daily logs on the iPad. Obviously, most of the time we're collating this information out while we're out on site. So exactly the same modules. You pick on here which day you're going to create the diary on. It's going to pick up your weather data live as we did before. So there it all is. And we've still got the general notes area to capture any additional information that may impact on late delivery or any, crane lift scheduling or anything like that. And any weather warnings that the system's not picked up. So there may be a yellow wind warning, which again may impact on the tower cranes, etc. And again, we can add the labour in here. We can add the companies and who's working on site for how many workers, how many hours, etc. And it's all being recorded in the system, exactly the same as what we did on the dashboard. And again, we've got the general notes area, etc. And we can publish that into the system. Now, obviously, classic mode, we can start capturing photos at this point, but it's not in Nextgen yet. But if you need to capture photos, just, raise an issue, and call it daily diaries photos and just capture your photographs that way of any progress that you want to capture. So there are ways around a lot of the things we're doing in classic mode, just in the way we actually approach what we're doing with Nextgen. Okay, so really the last bit here is the RFIs. So, RFIs are raised, But the idea is once they're raised, we may need to go out on site to actually see the RFIs and respond to them. You know, if somebody wants some information and they're requesting for it, it might not be a technical response. It might be actually a physical response where we get on site and see what's going out on there. So you can see here an RFI is raised. It's assigned to myself, and I can get out there and, you know, start filtering on the statuses. But the main thing is I can respond to this. I can look while I'm out on site and give an answer to the RFI. I can start looking at what we're going to do to help people. We can see there the activities, who's raised it at the bottom. You can see I can write a comment and take a photograph again, you know, and I can start closing this out, but with live data rather than trying to find things out on the site. We can approve the RFI, we can take a photograph of it, etc. We can store it into the system, and then we can change the RFI to closed out. And so nice workflows, but as you can see, you know, we can do lots of things now out on site, and we can also do lots of things while we're in the site office itself. So connected data, connecting the teams together and inputting this data only once. And that's key to it. We don't want to go out on the field with paper, because paper, yes, we fill it in. Then what? We have to scan it. Then what? We have to email it. Then we have to store it. That's time. And that's what we're trying to reduce. The 360 platform is there, so we collect things once, share it, and maintain that single point of source of information that we can always go to, and we know it's always the latest information around issues, around our quality and our checklists and progress that we're doing out on site. So hopefully that's give you a good insight into the BIM 360 build platform. As I've said, there's lots of development happening out there, so please keep an eye out for the new features that will be added quite regularly. If you need any more information, obviously you can always approach Excitech or myself, and we're always more than happy to guide you and help you into the best way to, you know, implement this platform now of BIM 360 onto any of your design and construction projects. But hopefully that's just give you a good insight into where we are today, and where the system's going really from classic to next gen. If you do have any other questions, please feel free to push them over to Excitech, and obviously I'll do my best to answer them. There's my email at the bottom as well, so you can contact me directly as well. If you do need to see the webinars again, or the other 3 that you may have missed, please log in to excitech.co.uk/insights and review the other modules. And hopefully today's been some interest and value to you. So hope to speak to you all soon, but thanks for joining me. Take care. Bye-bye.